Hello, hello, hello. Ron and I are here as usual previewing this week's game. It is away at Colorado on Saturday, August 20th or August 21st, whichever day the Saturday is. Uh, Tonight joining us is Brendan. He is the podcast host and media director for C38. Brendan, can you tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you do for C38? And for those of you who don't know, C38 is a supporters group for Colorado. So, Brendan?
It's the supporters group. It's the only supporters group that the team recognizes. So we're pretty proud of that. It was a merger of three different groups, and I started writing the match reports for C38 about 4 years ago, which was when they became C38. And then this year, my I was able to get the go to up my game, and so we started as a podcast, which we basically talk mostly all Rapids, focus a little bit on the previous game at the beginning, look forward to the next game at the end, and talk some news and opinionated stuff in between. But for the most part, that's what I do. I also do a little bit of entertaining out of the tailgate, so we'll have, usually we have a player or somebody like that join who isn't in the first team 18. And then I'll do a little quick interview, open it up to autographs and pictures and stuff like that. Unfortunately for your game, we aren't going to have anyone. Everybody's healthy, and it's also military appreciation night. And so basically there's all the ex-players, new players, everybody who's available is doing stuff for the military appreciation. Yeah, I can't get that word out tonight. I
Appreciation.
apologize. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
So yeah, as far as what I do with C38, that's pretty much it. Everything media related. So.
All right. And so we'll just jump into match preview now that you've heard a little bit about Brendan and their supporters group. Brendan, I know Colorado's pretty stout at home, especially on defense. So can you tell us a little bit about your form coming into this match?
The home form is great. We're still undefeated at home. It's definitely a wave that Rapids fans and supporters want to continue riding. It goes down to everyone has suspicious outfit, superstition, whatnot. You wear the same socks, whether you wash them or not, that's up to you. Part of the interviews at the tailgate, we call it the voice of C38 Karma, because every time we've had someone, we've won. So there's my superstition in it. But at home, yeah, defensively, they definitely step their game up. But our coach is defensive minded, and you see it in training and whatnot that he is definitely not 4 but 6 to 11 guys at times defending, and that's kind of why you don't see much of an offense out of us. And we definitely have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to altitude as well. Teams come in and get winded right around the 60th, 70th minute. And usually if at that point the Rapids have a goal, they can hold on to it, where sometimes when they're away, they can't.
All right. And Ron, we had major woes last summer, and in my opinion, our woes kind of made it through this summer as well. I don't know what it is. You think the heat would be to our advantage, but it seems when the sweltering heat comes, we just, I guess, fade away. So we've had a mixed results with Coach Christ, a win, a loss, and a draw. I thought last week was pretty bad. I thought we should have won, but typical form into a draw, 2-2, giving up a late goal. Any last thoughts about last week's game for Chicago, Ron, or any general thoughts about the form? I don't think we've won other than New England in like 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, I think it's about one win in the last 8 games. A lot of draws mixed in there. Orlando City's got, I think, 12 draws on the year now.
13, we lead the league.
13? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
like us last year.
Back to the Chicago game real quick. It's just a case of the defense let us down like they have so many times this year,
All
and
season.
Joe Bendick wasn't able to come up with the miraculous saves that he's been standing on his head all year for us. So I kind of figured at some point he's not going to get to everything, and it's going to cost us. And it's a shame. I mean, a point on the road is nothing to whine about really, but everybody likes to take 3 points off the fire when they can. And the problem for Orlando City is coming up. They have, starting with Colorado, they have about a 5 game gauntlet of really, really good teams, and where I think we're going to figure out if Orlando's a contender or a pretender pretty soon.
All right, well, that might be a discussion to have in one of the upcoming match previews. Anybody who knows me personally or follows my Twitter or Facebook with any kind of consistency will know how I feel already. But anyway, so Brendan, what kind of formation are we going to see from Colorado?
It'll be a 4-2-3-1, and what makes them real strong is not just that, but you got to consider Tim Howard is back there, and he does a great job organizing the 6 guys, because they definitely, even though it's a 4-2-3-1, it's more of a 6-3-1, just kind of the way they clutter up the midfield, and they'll kind of things are changing a little bit without Jermaine Jones. They've kind of experimented with guys in that mid three. It ideally we'll see a change this Saturday, which hopefully will put Sebastian Letou outside. So it might give us a little bit of strength on the wings as far as someone who can run in behind the defense.
All right, well, you mentioned Sebastian Letou. He's your new acquisition. Why don't you just run through how you guys will fill out your formation real quick?
For the most part, I expect Mark Birch and Eric Miller to be the wingbacks, and Axel Joberg and Bobby Burling will be your center backs. Sam Cronin will probably pair up with Michael Azera. That's what we'd like to see, but it could happen where Dylan Powers fills that slot. And then on the outside, Sebastian Letou, Selshman Gashi, and then probably Marlon Hairston, because the kid is just on fire right now. And then Kevin Doyle up top. That's the expected projected lineup.
Okay, and I think it's funny that you mentioned Howard because McMath was playing well too before, wasn't he?
Absolutely. He was actually the best keeper in the league. Led the league in shutouts, and he was the best keeper in the league. And it definitely had a lot of supporters and whatnot arguing the fact of, is Tim Howard worth $2 million? Is he worth coming in and doing all that when you got a real young guy in Zach McMath and his salary is just a fraction of that? To me, I do think it's worth it, because for as far as the Rapids stand and fan wise, we're lacking a little bit. I mean, I was in Orlando last year, and even on a Wednesday night, as Rapids fans, we were jealous of the attendance. It just wasn't something that we saw. And ever since Tim Howard's been with the team, we've seen sellouts. It hasn't been like that before. So he put butts in the seats. He's selling jerseys, and he's keeping the team relatively along the same stride of form that they've been in. But if you're Zach McMath, you gotta have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, and he definitely feels like he's a starter in this league. The Rapids had a chance allegedly to ship him out in this last transfer window, but they blocked it. So if they see something in him for the future, because we have Howard for 4 years. Now, granted, he's getting older, and there could be some injuries involved, but you definitely want to make sure you got a solid backup, and that's definitely what Zach McMath is at this point.
All right, and Ron, I don't think there will be any reason for us to change to the diamond midfield this week. I thought we might have done it last week if we were going to see it, or the week before maybe at home. So I'm assuming we're going to see the 4-2-3-1 as usual, typical Orlando City. So if you care to differentiate my opinion, please tell me why. If not, tell me how you think we'll fill out the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think they'll stick with the 4-2-3-1 unless they have a string of results where they're losing by multiple goals several games in a row. They'll probably stick with this for the remainder of the year, is what I would assume. Across the back, they're still thin back there. I expect Luke Bowden and Tommy Redding and probably Seb Hines again, and maybe Rafael Ramos is getting closer to returning. So it would be nice to get Rafael Ramos back at right back, give us a little speed and athleticism, and he can contribute a little bit into the attack. Kevin Alston is what he is at right back. Probably one of the
Replacement level.
Yeah, you're right. Bendick in goal. Servando Carrasco, and Antonio Nocerino will probably be the defensive mid pairing. Christian Higuita, was announced yesterday that he's out 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. So that's a real tough blow for Orlando City. I thought he looked pretty good last week. And then the attacking midfielders will have Breck Shea and Kaká and Kevin Molino. Most likely, I would prefer to see somebody else besides Breck Shea, but I don't know who you would want that to be, Sam. I think MPG is day-to-day right now, so I doubt he starts. And then Kyle Aaron up top.
I think it will be Shea, but I'm a little surprised that you didn't give us the honorary Rivas mention. I think that was a perfect opportunity for you to slide your Rivas love in there, and you didn't do it. So I don't know if you don't think we're going to see Rivas.
I don't even know if he's still on the team anymore. I never see him, so I'm going to stop talking about him.
And if you don't think we're going to see him, then I think he's lost his last fan. But anyway, so Brendan, you guys are strong defensively. We are stronger offensively than we are defensively, and it sounds like you guys are going to really jam up the midfield, and I could see how that could play into our favors because, with the last regime, we tried to swing the balls into the box. I think we've been a little more direct under Christ, but the lineup we're going to put out, to me, seems as if we will do some of the cross-play into Laren. So those will probably be our main form of attackers, trying to cross the ball into Laren, and whatever Kaká can create. Molino's been actually pretty creative as well. So I'm happy with those two. Against attacking-based teams and possession-based teams, what have you guys been doing? Shutting them out, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. I mean, we're pretty proud of our defense. Bobby Burling's 6'5". Axel Joberg is 6'7". He'd tell you he's 6'8". But, yeah, these guys will take care of air balls. Swinging it in the box isn't going to help you. And teams are still trying to figure out how to beat them when it comes to that kind of gameplay. It's set pieces is what hurts Colorado. If these guys, which Sam Cronin and Michael Azera, are physical midfielders, and at times they're going to give up something 30 yards, 40 yards from the goal. And that's where I worry about the team up of Kaká and Laren, because if anybody's going to hurt us, that's how to do it. The run of play has just been real hard for teams to get through us.
All right, Ron, you want to talk about our set pieces?
Well, if you get set pieces against our defense, you're likely to score. We can't mark them to save our lives. But yeah, Colorado's they're obviously gonna suffocate things in the middle, and I liked your point about, I've been watching Colorado a little bit this year, and they seem to either nick games late or hold on at the end. But that was a good point about the altitude. I think that's something that Orlando City is probably not used to at all. I don't know if we've played any altitude games since we've been in the league. So.
You guys did come here 3 years ago for the U.S. Open Cup.
I don't think
there's maybe 2 players left on the roster from then.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but yeah, I think that's going to be a big deal though, because I expect this game to be close. I think actually Orlando City can somehow match up decently against Colorado. I mean, Colorado's not going to run away from you and score a lot of goals generally, so Orlando should find themselves in the game. But if they start wearing out in the 60th minute because of the altitude, then it could be big trouble. So perhaps Orlando City needs to get on the board early, just so they can in case they have to struggle through that last 30 minutes.
All right, and Brendan, do you have any questions for us about Orlando City?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it in your own, just chit-chatting, and we had a chat the other day, which answered most of my questions.
All right. In that case, we will go to my favorite part of the show, which it shouldn't be my favorite at this point because I'm probably not picking us to win, so I should maybe just nix this segment. But any which way, actually, I'll go first. I usually don't go first, but I will. I think that this is a very tough game for us. In many ways. First of all, I don't like the traveling. I don't like the recent results. The effort's been there under the new coach, so I appreciate that. However, I am not going to pick us to win or to draw, even though the draw would be the statistically safest bet. but I think we go to Colorado and we lose 1-0. Ron, you can go second.
Well, I'm going to be a little more optimistic this week. Generally, I'm not too optimistic with Orlando City, but if they go out there and lose to Colorado, which is expected, really. I mean, Colorado's got the second most points in the league, so that wouldn't be heartbreaking. But at the same time, Orlando City really has to start working on their being a little more consistent from week to week. They really need to go on a run here soon if they want to lock up the final seed in the Eastern Conference playoff race. So I think they go and they get a goal early, like I said, but they probably, like we've become so used to, they probably give up a goal in the second half somewhere. I think it ends 1-1, but that's actually a really good result for Orlando this week. If that happens.
Ron, who's the goal scorer for Orlando?
That's Kevin Molino.
All right, Brendan.
You guys are gonna hate me. I've been calling for. The Rapids haven't scored more than 3 goals except for once. And until they do it again, I'm going to keep calling for it. And so I'll go with 3-1.
3-1 Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's our score predictions. I will be at the game. I might tweet out some photos or some little videos. The thought has run my mind to do iPhone fan TV. I don't know what kind of condition I'm going to be in, to be honest. So that's a big maybe. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, my bad. I'm going
Periscope
on vacation.
it.
I'm going on vacation.
Yeah,
so.
there you go.
Anyways, Brendan, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you if they would like some Colorado Rapids information and where your podcast is?
Absolutely. You can find the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, whether it's through Android or Apple. iTunes is what we usually tell people. It's the Voice of C38. And you can find us on Twitter under @the Voice of C38. I am also Dr. Voice _ C38 at Twitter. And you can find our media blog by going to c38sg.com and clicking on the media link, and that will basically hit you up to everything that I do on the media side of it.
Alrighty, and Ron is at City Soccer Talk, or you can find him here on match previews every week for the last, whatever it's been, 18, 19 months, Ron?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, so we're running strong. Match previews are iffy next week. I'm getting a visit from my mom, so I'm going to talk to Ron off camera about that and see how we're going to swing it. So I have guests lined up, but we might skip 1 or 2 next week. We'll see. So if we make them, we make them. If we don't, we don't. But I'll definitely be doing Fan TV for New York City next Sunday, and I definitely will not be doing Fan TV on Wednesday night for Toronto, as my mom will be here, and that is a game I am not going to be able to make. So thank you guys for the watch. That's all for our time. Peace out.